Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of All the Mod 6. I hope everyone is doing great today. As always, I know that I am. We're hopping right back into our game save and a whole bunch of stuff has been done, I think. It's hard to keep up with stuff, but I'm going to run you through things anywho. So, let's hop back into our first person mode. Now, if you guys recall from the last episode, we did get mine colonies up and going here. This is what we're standing around. And since then, I mean, obviously we have our builder's hut up and going. We now have our town hall going. And I did go ahead and craft up a house. Now, this is a single person house. So only one person obviously is going to be in here. One of our colonists, which is William. He's going to be chilling in here. Now, we can upgrade all of these, and that's why in that last episode, I was going to tier 5 when I was scoping it out, but then obviously building tier 1. Because tier 5 is going to show you the exact amount of space you're going to need once you get to that highest level. And I think I kind of mentioned it in there, but I did want to clarify that a little bit more. Now you can see if we go into the build options here, we do have a option to upgrade this. And then when we upgrade it, it will allow, it looks like maybe one more person here or two more people. One or two more people. I haven't fully understood if they reutilize materials yet to upgrade, but as you can see, it does take quite a bit here. I also think I might have messed up. I think I recessed this one too low down into the ground here, but it is what it is. Also, as you can see, I have been doing a lot of terraforming to clear out this land. Like I mentioned before, you're going to want a lot of flat land in order to get everything up and going, and that's exactly what we have now. We have plenty of space. I even bumped this out, made it a little bit more uniform along the edge here, and kind of bumped this down a little bit. I think having something up here would be really, really cool. So I'm not going to spend too much time on camera doing it. I think mine colonies will more so be a, maybe we'll start something on camera, like get something up and going, talk on it, or recap on it. Because it is a very just waiting game type of mod. We basically explain what we want to have built, at least for the time being in the early stages of it. And then we provide the resources, and then we have our builder go and actually build it for us. Makes sense, easy enough, but that does take time. I mean, for this little house right here, it took him maybe 2 or 3 in-game days to do it, and they also do not work at night. Keep that in mind. So the more that you can sleep through the night, the better. Or honestly, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could set this up in the mining dimension, but I wouldn't fully recommend that. So, but we might get back to this at the end of the episode. There's other things that I would like to do first and foremost. So let's hop back over here. As you can see, I've also started mapping out our railway line here. That's going to go all the way across. Got our outline for our train station here at our Britannia setup going as well. And then that will obviously go all the way into our mine colonies settlement over there. But anywho, so coming down into our main area here, I am loving our setup. I have made a few tweaks though. So over here, we had our energizing orb set up for the power mod, and I am loving the power mod. I think it is one of the best energy mods that are in here. I know Mechanism has some crazy high tier stuff, but for very simplistic kind of early game into power generation, the power mod is going to be the way to go for sure. But anywho, that's beside the point. So we have this energizing orb up and going, and I think I mentioned in the last episode, maybe not, but there is a way to automate this through refined storage. If you guys remember, for our refined storage setup over here in the old base, we have a netherite crafter hooked up on top of a advanced smelting factory, so we could actually smelt up certain recipes. Well, you can do the same exact idea, but for the energizing orb here. So all you have to do, and you don't have to necessarily do it this way, but this is the way I recommend to do it. You put a crafter on top. I don't think you necessarily have to have a crafter, but crafter on top, you could choose what tier you want. I just have the base one, and then I have the different patterns for our different recipes in here. So I go to the max tier. You could just go with crystals if you wanted to, but I go with the blocks because we know that we're going to need a lot of them. So, and then I also have it like if I wanted to just craft downwards, I could. These recipes here will actually take a block and then downput it into a actual crystal if need be. So I have it where it'll break it down, but basically this is my setup. So The blocks are the ones that are actually going through the processing. So if we come into our crafter here and we go to power, I can easily request to craft any of these here. So if we wanted a block of blazing crystal, I can craft it. Now, do keep in mind for this, you do need to also have a recipe for the block that's being utilized. So in order to make this, we need a block, or a blaze mesh block, I should say, which is going to take blaze rod. So it'll go through this process first to get the blaze mesh, and then place the blaze mesh on our energizing orb. And just like that, it'll put it there. It does take time, obviously, but it's nice that we can do it remotely and just have it run while maybe we're doing some other stuff. So that'll run. Then the other component of this is to have an importer underneath the energizing orb here. This will pull it back into the actual refined storage system. So pretty awesome, pretty easy to do. And then there you go. It just grabbed it and put it right back into our system. So if we come back in here, we have a block of blazing crystal. Now, if we wanted to, I think if you hit control, no, there's a way to do it. I have no idea what I just did there. Oh, I put it into our inventory. There it is. There's different ways that you can craft things up. But yeah, that's the setup for automating the energizing orb from the power mod. Now you might be wondering, well, why would we want to do that? Well, it is because there are advanced tiers that obviously take those higher materials that you don't necessarily want to sit there and craft all day or have the energizing orb run all day. So on stream, on our last stream, we did get a nitro level energy cell up and going from power, which obviously, as you can see, it holds 140 million RF, which is crazy. But in order to get it up and going, you do have to have 2 of the spirited energy cells, and then you have to get into this nitro crystal. Nitro crystals are crafted with nether stars, redstone blocks, and then blocks of blazing crystal. That's where the block usage also comes into ease, because if we're realistically going for these, you can do it like this. Now, this is the only recipe, as you guys obviously know. With the other ones, you can make blocks. This one, you cannot make blocks of the nitro crystal in the Energizer. This is the only way in the Energizer to actually get the nitro crystals. It's kind of weird. Like, if we look at the recipe for the block, this is the only way you can make it, is taking the crystals and making the block, whereas for these ones, you could actually take a block of emerald and, let's say, make a block of spirited crystal. It's just weird. It's weird it's the only one that doesn't do it, but I guess it makes sense because it is a multi-item energizing setup. Whereas these, you could just take a block. In the nitro crystal, you do need 4 different items. But anywho, so we did get that up and going, fought some nether, or some withers, I should say, to get some nether stars, and we have this up and going. Now, I do actually want to change this setup. As you guys know, for our power setup, we have the energy cell here, which is storing all of our power, and then we also have our ender cell, which I have bumped up to a niotic one here. But the ender cell is what is holding a backlog of power, then that is also transferred over the Enderverse, I guess you could say, to our different systems that need it. So our refined storage system obviously needs power. I have it transferring to our refined storage controller so that it would have power. Now, with these ender cells, you can input batteries, you can input energy cells to actually increase this internal buffer. So it got me thinking, why should we have 2 separate things when realistically we could just utilize an ender cell? So that's the plan. That's what I'm going to do here. So we're actually going to pick up this ender cell. We're going to pick up this energy cell. We're going to place this bad boy down here. Now, realistically, this will, like if we were to switch over to a different channel and fill it up, it filled it up really quick there, because on channel 2 I have a 100K and it filled it up because of our power that is now going into it. And then for this, we'll obviously want to change the input output. So, and we'll want this to accurately reflect what we are trying to do. So the bottom is going to be receiving only. And then what direction is that? South? South is going to be extract only. Now, you don't necessarily need to do this, but from time to time, I'll run into some weird bugs with it, or if you don't have it set up properly, it kind of runs weird. So that should be set just like so. Now, what I want to do is actually take our energy cell here, shift, and then right click, right? Left click, shift, left click, it into it, and now we have 176 million stored up in this energy cell, which is pretty crazy. It's actually really Awesome. Now, I actually did get some additional storage up and going. I actually have a niotic cell right here. So I'm actually going to add that into there. So that's going to give us to 200 million. 200 million? Yeah, 200 million storage. And with this, you can keep going and going and going into the billions, into the trillions, and so on and so forth, which is really cool. Obviously, you just need to craft up the batteries for it. So with that being said and done, we will move our receiver here to be down a little bit closer to this and then have a way to actually access our network from here wirelessly. And we're going to move our refined storage setup, as you guys know, into our new building, which is way over there. But it is nighttime. Let's sleep through the night here. And we are going to work on some additional power generation. I feel like power generation is always just very interesting because there's so many ways to go about it. So I did additional work off camera to get some automation going around another way that we are going to produce a whole heck of a lot of power. So there is a mod in the pack called Solar Flux Reborn. Now, I don't know if I've brought this up before, but it's a really cool mod. Obviously, it makes solar panels. And you go through different tiers, much like a lot of the other power generation options that are in the pack. You move through tiers. You start at the lower end, which generates lower amounts of power, and you move up to the highest tier, which produces usually a decent amount more. Well, for us, as you can see, you start at the solar panel 1, and it produces generation 1 FE per tick or 1 RF per tick, which is stupidly not like, it sucks. It really sucks. I mean, to be fair though, it doesn't take much to craft it. It does take these mirrors, which is actually pretty interesting. These mirrors have an interesting recipe because they will take glass of any kind and then any kind of ingot if you want. Now, it takes a lot more compared to if you were just to do an iron ingot, but I've gone on this rant before where in this mod pack or in a lot of mod packs, they will prioritize iron over a lot of other resources. And if we take a look in our refined storage system, we have thousands of other ingots in here that are just not being used, or if they're used, we're not going to be using that many. So I ultimately set it up so that some of these will actually get used up through this process. It sounds a little bit silly because you're ultimately using more compared to just using iron, but I'd rather take the option while we are able to take the option for it, if that makes sense. So anyway, I obviously have this all set up. In our automated system here, I have them all set up in our netherite crafter. It looks crazy, and we're actually at max capacity. So probably in our next stream, we are actually going to get more netherite crafters up and going so we can store more recipes in here. But as you saw, the first solar panel, very, very weak in its power generation. Now you move up to the second one, you get to 8. You move up to the third one, you get 32. And then it starts jumping up, you get to 128, 512. 2000, which that's where the big jump comes in, because right now for a lot of our power generations from the power mod, like our thermal generators, they make about 900 and they're not at max tier yet, but it takes a decent amount to get there, and this is obviously way above that. So 2000, you bump up to the tier 7, you can make 8000, right? You move up to the tier 8, you can make 32,000, or the other option, if you don't want to do this one, because this one does take dragon eggs, is you could go for Unobtainium, because this is kind of combined into this mod. So you do need to use all the modium ores in this setup. But if you look at this, the highest tier, which is the Unobtainium solar panel, makes 32,000 FE per tick, and you do get 2 of them. 32,000 FE per tick, that is not bad at all. I know you can make way, way more, especially getting into mechanism like I mentioned before, but we should actually be able to craft this. I think I have everything together, so let's give it a go. I think we can craft it up. Can we not? Did I not have? I know I have the highest tier. Oh no, I don't have the highest tier of the cells in there. All right, give me 1 second. Let me get that adjusted. Okay, we are adjusted now. I got it up and going. It's pretty straightforward. We just needed the tier 6, right? Tier 6 cells here, which, as you can see, you can go through the crafting recipes yourself to look at them, but as they progress, they do take more and more stuff, including blocks of diamond. But we should be able to get this up and going. So if we hit Control click, it'll show us what all we need. Fingers crossed that this one works out compared to our infinite storage that we were trying. Let's see what we have. Okay, so we are missing a decent amount of stuff. So this is where it comes into factor with those mirrors. I had set it up so that this would be the tin ingots would be used for our mirrors. Now we could realistically switch that and it actually might be a little bit better. We are missing out on some oak here. We do need some more oak. We are going to need some more sand. We're going to need quite a bit of items here actually. Glowstone dust, some normal stone, but actually it's not too shabby. I think this shouldn't take me too long to actually get together. So give me a couple minutes here. I'll step away, get some of these materials together. I think maybe the sand is going to be the most difficult one. And then when we come back, we will actually get these up and going, and then we'll get them set up. I am super excited. So we'll be right back, guys. All right, guys. So boy, it has been a little while here. It's been maybe about half hour, 45 minutes. I ran into so many different things, unfortunately. So I, on top of going and getting all the necessary things that we still needed, didn't take too much time. I did run into an issue. So I have updated to the most recent version of the pack at the time of this recording. I don't know what it is offhand, unfortunately, but I am on the most recent version, and for some reason, it broke my other dimension and our mining dimension. Don't know why. Basically, what happened is I could not connect to them for whatever reason it was. And yeah, so basically what I had to do is back out of the game, go into the folder, the back-end folders for my all the mod 6 mod pack here, and delete the all the modium dimension folder out of it, and then it would repopulate it, and then we were able to get back there. But we did unfortunately lose our Gia setup in our mining dimension, which is a little bit unfortunate, but we can get that back at a later time. I'm not too worried about it. But with that being said, we are ready to actually get things going. I have spent some time getting materials together. Like I said, we should have everything we need. I actually did ultimately switch over our mirrors to just use iron. Realistically, it uses a lot, but it uses, you know, significantly less compared to some of the other ones. So if you really wanted to, you could do a mixture of both. But for our purposes, I'm just going to use iron. I know I'm backtracking on what I said, but we have so much iron realistically. So let's get into this. Let's get this crafted up here. I just need to get that off of here, and we want to do these. So if we hit Control click, we have everything that we need. Everything can be crafted up. Hopefully, let's hope that we don't run into any problems. We'll see. Let's do start. What are we missing here? Block of smoky quartz. Interesting. I don't know what I had set for that. That is one interesting part. We can get some of these going here. Was it our higher tier cell? Did this use smoky quartz? Yes, that is the one thing you are definitely going to want to keep an eye out for, because these are very specific. I mean, we could uncheck exact, but it gets a little finicky, I believe. So what I just make sure I do is, obviously we want to have it like so, and then just take these off of here, and then we want to have normal blocks of quartz. So we should be able to, I have it set so it'll craft it, but we want to go to quartz here, and you can actually go right off of here. I think this is what we want. No, how do we, just a block of quartz, that's all I want. Why is this so hard? There it is, block of quartz. So what you can do is just drag just like so, and then have it set. So that should be good to go. We should be able to actually throw that back in there, put our patterns back up here, get rid of that, and then we should actually be able to get this up and going. Holy smokes. Okay, so solar, and we do want to craft these, so we'll be able to craft them, start, and then it's going to do its magic, and then we should have our 2 outputs. I'm so excited. It's just going to take a hot minute. What is it crafting up here? Some more glass. That was the thing. It does take a lot of glass. I actually had to go hunting, as you guys saw, for a lot of sand. Over 4,000 blocks of sand that all needs to be smelted up into glass. So I actually did spend a decent amount of time doing that. And there we go. We have our Unobtainium solar panels. Easy peasy. I only had to craft basically one thing. Like, click through one thing in here. Which is so much nicer than having to go through all of the steps. Now, obviously, we would not be able to do even more than that. But in this mod, there are more items that I would like to get going here. Actually, I wanted to stay on that. So, with these, you do have the option to actually up the generation. But we're going to get to that in just a second here. So I have everything I want here. And what we're going to do is actually go to our mining dimension. That's why I was a little bit bummed, is that we lost it. Now, it does worry me a little bit that we could lose it going forward. But I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. We'll just have to, I guess, be careful. Because obviously we don't want to lose it. You always run the risk no matter what. When you update your mod pack that you could run into issues, make sure you always have a backup. And that's what I did. Realistically, I could have just booted my backup up, gone back to a previous version. It'd been what it is, but it's whatever. It's whatever. So I want to put this relatively close to our thing here within this chunk. So realistically, I think we would be fine if we put it, because I want it to be in a actual chunk, and I think right here would be perfectly fine. I think we're in the chunk. Yeah. So we'll place both of these down, and as you can see right off the bat, they are generating a ton of power, and they have an internal storage of 128 million FE or RF. There's also a little bit more information in here if you'd like to see. So obviously stored, your capacity there, generation right there, and then efficiency is at 100%. I don't know how you would be lower than 100% on your efficiency. Not 100% sure. I'm guessing if it's not sunny out, then that would be the problem. But from there, we can take our ender cell here, and I went with the niotic one, or the nitro I should say, because it has a max IO of 400k, which if we decide to expand on this, it should account to be able to transfer everything that we want at the exact speed that it's being generated. If you think about this, this one's generating 30,000 roughly, this one's 30,000, so that's 60,000 right there that is going into it. So we want to just make sure that we're equaling out. Now, obviously, you could have gone for the lower tier, but I'm just future-proofing myself with this one. So we can get this set down, and then we can have it hooked up to our single first channel here, and then everything should be good to go. Obviously, this is not going to show as being able to work right now because everything is full up anyway. So it's going to keep backlogging in here. Now, in order for this to continue working, there's one item that you do need to do, which is ensure that your chunk that you have placed it in is actually chunk loaded in. And I believe then this would be chunk loaded in. Let me just double check that. I think we're chunk loaded in. We could head back to our base here, and we could test out getting a battery and upping the ante here, because I don't believe I have any more anything else I can throw at it to bump up the capacity offhand here. There is some weird stuff with the batteries. I would I'd say keep that in mind. It's just kind of strange. For whatever reason, I can't just go to, like, if I wanted to go right to the blazing and do that, for some reason, it doesn't account for the battery. It's weird. So it's just a weird kind of glitch with that aspect of it. But you can start with the starter and then work your way up through the different ones. It's a little bit unfortunate. And even still, like, even if I click that, it won't let me do it. For some reason, I have no idea why. So it's kind of silly. It's almost like, why even bother to have those set up in there then if it's not going to work properly? And honestly, I might change them out because I really don't know why it doesn't work right. All right, so we should be able to get up to the blazing, right? Or do we need the harden? Is that what I was doing? Harden? Yeah, for that one it works. It's just so strange on how it works. Then we'll get the blazing, just like so. I don't think we have enough for the niotic. Oh, we do. Okay. It might have to craft some stuff up, though. Did it? Or are we good to go? No, it looks like it is crafting some stuff up here, which is actually really nice. It's going to go over here. It's got this going here, which is going to take some time. But it should be... I mean, it's hardly even making a dent in our power because we have so much power backlogged into here, which is just insane. So the other thing I did want to do before we wrap out things is show you guys how we could even bump up the efficiency even more than what we are currently rocking. So I'm going to put a placeholder on that bad boy right there, and then we are going to go over here. So there are actually upgrades you can get for this solar Flux Reborn mod. Now you want to start with the blank upgrades, which is easy. It's just some mirrors. But then there's a couple different options. You have an efficiency upgrade, which I'm guessing would help if you are in an area that doesn't have as much sunlight or direct sunlight or any problems with that. There's a transfer rate upgrade, which, again, I mean, is nice, but maybe at the lower tiers it makes more sense. A capacity upgrade, which is extremely nice as well. You have a machine traversal upgrade. I'm not 100% sure on that one. Same with the dispersive. The block charging looks interesting. I think that would help for certain things. And then a furnace upgrade. There's some interesting ones up here. The biggest one is actually the efficiency, because now that I'm remembering, actually this isn't what I was thinking it was. This is something different. So let us actually craft up like 10 of these bad boys. Actually, let's craft up 20. Get those going. It's going to take a hot second to get it going. So let me get these crafted up, and then I'll bring you back once we are ready to round out the episode here. All right, guys, we are good to go here. There's one thing I just want to do really quickly, which is actually turn off the player transmitter here, actually. So I think we just want to have it redstone on, and I don't think it will move it. We'll have to check really quickly here. We'll know really fast, because if we have it on, we put this in our inventory, it would automatically start charging up the battery, which we don't want. So we have it all set. So let's head back to our mining dimension and give this a go here. So mining dimension. Let's see, have these bad boys fully filled up? Yep, so I'm guessing they are actually good to go. So you could actually bump up the capacity on this. I guess the capacity makes sense because they are relatively easy to make, from my understanding. So it really shouldn't be that bad. But as you see, we're sitting at 32,000, almost 33,000 FE per tick, or RF per tick. Well, these efficiency upgrades are going to even bump it up more. So just like that, adding 10 of them in bumps it up to almost 50. Now, the max you can do is 20. And if you bump it up to 20, it doubles, pretty much doubles it. You're getting up to 65,000 FE per tick or RF per tick. And yeah, you cannot add, or you can add more to it, but it doesn't do anything more. As you can see, we add an additional one there. It doesn't do anything. So 20 is the max per solar panel that you have, which is awesome. So that's going to jump up to 50,000 FE per tick, which is just insane. And then we'll put the other 10 in this one as well. That's going to bump it up to almost the same exact amount. So if we get 20 on each of these, we're just going to be generating a whole heck of a lot of power, which is insane. It's kind of funny because this is like nothing fancy to really look at in all actualization. Like, it is very, very basic, which is kind of funny. And I think that's fine. Just to get our thumbnail in here. Now, I'll show you guys how quickly this bad boy works, especially because we have power stockpile. So we'll shift and click that in there. And then just like that, it's already filled up. Just like that, we added in 25 million, and it already filled up the backlog of it. And just like that, each one is already stored up. This is an insane setup. Now, it does take a lot of resources, obviously, which means it is an end game feature. And what we could really do if we wanted to is, honestly, we could just have it at our home base. We don't necessarily have to have it in this dimension, but considering this is always a daytime, why not have it here? If it's always going to be daytime, then let's make use of that. Not like it really matters that much. I guess we could put it in our main base if we wanted to, if we were worried about it. But guys, with that being said, we are going to wrap up the episode there. I hope you all enjoyed. I also did get a crafting grid set up here just for to make things a little bit easier. But again, like I said, guys, I hope you did enjoy. When we come back in our next episode, we'll probably do a little bit more with mine colonies, because I said that we were going to, and I never got around to it in this episode. You know how things go. You start getting into one item, and then it kind of cascades into way more than you expected. I've probably been recording for about 2 hours here, but obviously you're only going to see about 30 minutes of it. So if you are new here, you want to follow along, hit that subscribe button and bell notification. Lets you know every single time an episode is posted here on the channel, obviously. If you did enjoy this video, consider leaving a like down below. Helps me out so very much. Or leave a comment. Love to read through your guys' comments. We do have a channel Discord set up, or a community to Discord. It's open to anyone, so feel free to drop on by, say hello, ask questions, whatever it may be. I try to hang out there a good amount, and we do stream over on Twitch on Mondays and Fridays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That link is in the description down below as well. But guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. Appreciate it so very much. I will catch you all in the next episode. Take it easy.